Japanese Prime Minister Mr. Fumio Kishida arrived at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research at 4:20 p.m. local time as part of his one-day visit to Ghana. Mr. Fumio took advantage of his visit to tour the well-maintained facility and interacted with the scientists, the brains behind the medical investigations there. Speaking through an interpreter to the Noguchi community, Prime Minister Fumio was excited about the enviable role Noguchi has assumed in the area of disease diagnosis and investigations. He was extremely happy about some of the projects the institute carried out during the outbreak of COVID-19.
Thank you very much for welcoming us despite your busy schedule.
野口英世博士がつないだ日本とガーナとの協力の歴史、100年に及ぶ歴史を感じることができ、大変嬉しく思っています。
I'm very pleased to be able to see the history, 100 history of Japan-Ghana cooperation, and that was forged by Dr. Hideo Noguchi.
野口研究所は先ほど新型コロナへの対応をされている様子も見させていただきましたが、ガーナのみならず西アフリカ全体において多くの人々の命を救うなど大きな成果を上げられたと聞いています。心からそうしたご努力に敬意を表し申し上げます。
I was just overseeing how the institute is responding to the COVID-19. I understand that the institute contributed not only to Ghana but also the West Africa region, and for that achievement, I would like to pay my sincere respect.
マラリアをはじめとする多くの熱帯病にまだ多くの皆さんが苦しめられていますが、日本はユニバーサルヘルスカバレッジこれを広げるために西アフリカの一大医学研究拠点である野口研究所の皆さんと連携をしながら地域に貢献をしていきたいと思っています。
Many people are still losing their lives in Africa due to various tropical diseases such as malaria. In order to promote the universal health coverage, Japan would like to contribute to counter infectious disease measures in collaboration with the Noguchi Institute, which is a major medical research hub in West Africa. I wish for the further development and prosperity of everyone here. Thank you very much for your attention.
On her part, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Nanaba Apiamfo, thanked the Japanese Prime Minister, Mr. Fumio Kishida, being the first premier from Japan to visit the research facility, and assured that Noguchi would continue to operate as a world-class center of excellence in the area of medical investigations for the good people of Ghana and the world.
Your Excellency, Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to, on behalf of the University of Ghana and the Noguchi Memorial Institute of Medical Research, to express our excitement and our deep appreciation for your visit. My understanding is that you are the first Prime Minister to have visited this institute, and we really are very happy about that. It shows It shows your commitment to this institute. The friendship between the two countries has yielded fruits over the years. As you can see, it has resulted in the training of high-quality human resource and also the provision for resources that when they come back home, they are able to use the skills that they have developed during the period of their training. You've already heard about how the Institute contributed to the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic in this country through timely diagnosis and also support and training for other, not just people in this country, but also scientists across the sub-region. And so we are very much grateful.
まさにこちらの二国間の友好を示すような研究となっていると思います。そしてこのお互いの協力によってこれまで多くの成果を出してこられたと思います。人的資源に対するトレーニングですとか、またそのトレーニングした人たちが本国に帰っていってその知見を生かすことができるといったこともあります。先ほどコロナの対応を見ていただいたと思いましたけれども、非常にタイムリーにその結果を地域に貢献することができました。そしてそのトレーニングを行っているのはガーナのみならずその地域の国々にとっても利益となっています。
I'm also happy to mention that in March this year we had the first in the series of the JICA Chair Lectures. And that is a further demonstration that our friendship keeps growing and growing. And I can only look forward to more fruitful collaborations in the near future. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
今年の3月に初めて JICA がレクチャーを行ってくれまして、それはまさに我々日ガーナの協力がますます増大しているということを示すことだと思います。より一層そうした協力を充実させていければと思っております。
はい、ありがとうございました。
中には行きますんで、ポストの方、後ろです。Please make the way for the Prime Minister.
The Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research was established in 1979 and named after a Japanese scientist, Hideo Noguchi, who was researching into yellow fever in 1927. Unfortunately, Dr. Noguchi died in Ghana 1 year after contracting the yellow fever virus. We're coming to you from the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, and just a while ago the Japanese Prime Minister was here and he interacted with the officials here and also inspected the machines and equipment at the facility. So I've been joined by the director of the institute, Professor Dorothy Yeboah Menu. Hi, Prof. Yes. Good to have you.
It's a pleasure to see you, Gifty.
So this is the very first time that we've had a Japanese Prime Minister visiting the facility. How does it feel as the head of the institute?
I think today it was a short visit, but it was a very significant and it says a lot. If you look at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, if you look at the investment that the Japanese government has made, I think it was nice for a Prime Minister to come, and this confirms what we've been doing. And during his interaction, he said he's heard about the wonderful work that we are doing, supporting the global health activities within the sub-region, not only Ghana, but within the West Africa sub-region. He's heard about during COVID time, the staff of the institute coordinated the national testing efforts. We supported the WHO, not only in Ghana, but within the West Africa. We even went as far as countries like Botswana to train them. And they've had all the good work that their investment is doing in the country. And so the purpose of the visit is to give me first-hand information about the investment and to interact with the staff, to also have understanding of our work. And we are very, very excited, and I'm proud as the director to be the first director of the Institute to receive a sitting Prime Minister of Japan to the Institute. And this is very, very heartwarming.
Are you the very first woman to head this facility?
Interestingly, I'm the first woman to head this facility.
What's a good omen?
It is.
So standing there, I mean, what was going through your mind, with the Prime Minister right there, the head of the University of Ghana, and all other top officials, and you being there, how did you feel?
For me, I think it goes to confirm what was started as a collaboration between two scientists. That is Professor Ismond, who was the Dean of the University of Ghana Medical School, and Professor Kenji Honda from Fukushima Medical School. They started, has blossomed to a global health institute of repute, of an institution of global repute, and even for the Prime Minister of Japan to hear about our good work and to say that I will come. And if you look at his itinerary, he just came to the country and he wanted to see the institute. And if you look at the things that he's coming to do, this institute is one of the key reasons why he came to Ghana. And it feels good, especially when he was given what is heard about the quality of the work that we are doing. We feel very proud. Sometimes somebody may invest in you and the one will think that, oh, I've wasted my money. But if you hear him, you could see that they are proud of their investment. And this goes to the quality work that all the scientists in the Institute, both past directors and now, and all the staff of the Institute have committed to do to support global health activities.
So what is the current state of the Institute now?
Oh, Noguchi is still growing strong. As you are aware, after COVID, there was Marburg outbreak. Thanks to thanks to the swift response that the Institute put in place, the outbreak wasn't big. After COVID, we've heard about yellow fever outbreak last year. Again, Noguchi entomology and the virologists were there to support. And interestingly, Dr. Hideo Noguchi, who the Institute is named after, came to Ghana to research on yellow fever. And last year when there was yellow fever outbreak, it's the same institution that stood to support the Ghana Health Service. After that, there have been monkeypox outbreak. Noguchi has been there. And even the current Lassa fever, again, it is the Institute. So the Institute is still growing strong and strong. And we are proud that we are working to support our country. I think as a director, we are very, very proud of this achievement.
What distinguishes Noguchi from the other laboratories across the country or even in Africa?
One of the things that distinguishes, if you go just at the entrance, you see the quality. Noguchi takes quality. Our quality management systems are very good, and we train our staff. I started Noguchi after BSc, and you see that I'm now director. Noguchi put a lot of emphasis into training. You won't come to Noguchi, spend 2 or 3 years, and you have not been sent abroad or somewhere, or even to school. We put a lot of emphasis on training, and we have system to make sure that what we do is quality, and that's the center of excellence. So you could even look at our puller that shows a quality. Noguchi is quality.
Tell us about the current project ongoing, because you hardly hear from Noguchi unless there's been a major success story. Then you get to hear of Noguchi. On the low, what are some of the projects you've been working on?
If Noguchi is not working, then there's not a disease in Ghana. Almost all diseases that are in the country, Noguchi is researching into it. Noguchi is researching into tuberculosis. Noguchi is looking at a lot of studies looking at drug-resistant tuberculosis, looking at now we've all understood mutations, so now it's not a scientific work anymore. How the bacteria is mutating. How do we use this understanding to develop rapid diagnostics to detect drug resistance? Noguchi is working. Noguchi is One area in tuberculosis is trying to understand there's one bacteria that causes TB only in West Africans. That's called Mycobacterium africanum. Noguchi is leading the research to understand the biology of this bacteria. Noguchi is working on malaria. We just celebrated World Malaria Day. Noguchi, if we are taking a medication, because Noguchi has told Ghana Health Service that the medication is efficacious. Noguchi is always doing routine therapeutic efficacy studies. Noguchi is looking at malaria drug resistance. Noguchi is looking at the malaria parasite, actually, mosquitoes. We are looking at the resistance to insecticides. So everything, immune response, everything to do with malaria, Noguchi. And we are also working in terms of malaria vaccine. Noguchi is doing a lot of studies. Noguchi is working on vaccine trials. We are doing currently this Lassa fever vaccine trial going on. There is rotavirus, which causes diarrhea in children. You know, now our work contributes to the EPI program for rota vaccination, and we are monitoring even the efficacy of the vaccine now. Noguchi is looking at influenza. Noguchi is HIV. In fact, we just signed a grant by the French embassy whereby we are going to look at human papillomavirus and HIV, one of the risk factors for HIV patients' development of cervical cancer. Noguchi is working at cervical cancer screening among HIV patients. Noguchi is looking at cure in HIV. Noguchi is looking at non-communicable diseases. We are looking at eclampsia, preeclampsia and eclampsia, pregnancy associated. So Noguchi, once there's a disease, every disease that is in the country, Noguchi is researching. And one thing that we are also doing, Noguchi is also looking at drug discovery. We now have a funding from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to look at drug discovery. And Noguchi is also doing a lot of preclinical studies.
Specific drugs that you're targeting?
Now we are starting with malaria drug discovery. And so that we are starting with malaria. So we are starting to, and we are working with the Department of Chemistry, and they are doing this. They are doing medicinal chemistry, synthesizing new drugs, which Noguchi is doing the biological screening.
I know during the outbreak of COVID-19, Noguchi was able to do the genome sequencing project. How far is that project, Prof?
Now, Noguchi is one of the 9 Africa CDC genomic hubs or centers of excellence, and we are sequencing not only for Ghana, we are sequencing for COVID, we are sequencing for Ghana, Togo, Benin, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and we are training them. And we also sequence a bit for Ivory Coast. Now we have gone beyond COVID. We are sequencing for COVID. We are sequencing a lot of TB. We are sequencing malaria. And we are sequencing another group of bacteria, what we call antimicrobial resistance. You know, if you don't take care, we will go to the antibiotic era because we are abusing antibiotics, and so there's a big study on antibiotic resistance, and we are doing a lot of bacterial sequencing in that field as well.
Okay, Professor Dorothy Yeboah-Menu, thank you so much for your time. Indeed, we are so grateful.
I'm so grateful. This is GTV. Gifty from GTV. Thank you so much for speaking to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Also, this has been how we wrap up on the Japanese Prime Minister's visit to the Noguchi Memorial Center for Medical Research. Of course, his one-day visit to Ghana, and he made it a priority to come to this facility because the facility was named after a Japanese scientist, Hideo Noguchi, who died investigating into yellow fever, and unfortunately, he died from that same condition. And so when the university found it fit to have a research facility, then they settled on naming the facility after Dr. Noguchi. And since 1979, this premises has been known as the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research. And this is where all the complex investigations and medical researches take place. Reporting for GBC News, Gifty Eji, Noguchi, University of Ghana, Accra.